Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story, which comes from Sunrise the Sunflower from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit, and says, "Am I the arsehole for announcing we are pregnant too early?" And before we get into this story, there is talk of fertility issues within the story, so if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always in the description and all that good stuff. Now, let's crack on with it. And it says, "So I, 26 female, and my husband, 30 male, decided to start our family. We were very fortunate and got pregnant on the first try. As soon as we found out, positive test at 5 weeks, we shared on our family chat because we were very excited. The family chat includes my dad, my brother 22 male, and his wife 21 female. My brother, who is on deployment, sends me a lengthy message about how I'm selfish and rubbing it in their face that we are pregnant when we know they've struggled with fertility issues and it's something I should have kept to myself. I know his wife has issues with her reproductive organs that would make it very hard for her to conceive, but neither of them shared that they were actively trying. I also understand how hard deployments can be. I'm a veteran and my husband is active duty, and our mum died about 16 months ago, so I'm trying to be really understanding of their feelings and experiences. However, I'm really hurt. I don't think it's wrong to share our excitement. I want to share because if we were to have a miscarriage, I would want my family to know and help me through it. It just seems really out of character for my brother to treat me this way. His wife hasn't said anything or acknowledged what we said." Opie then adds an edit and says, "I'd be happy to answer and clarify a few things. 1. They did not share they were trying to get pregnant or receive fertility treatments. She shared about a year prior that she will likely struggle to conceive but didn't want to go into detail. We respected her privacy and didn't pry. She is shy and very quiet. We all express support for her and whatever their journey looks like. 2. I was concerned about miscarriages because I have uterine fibroids, very irregular periods, and I was sexually assaulted by someone for an extended period of time, multiple times, while I was deployed and didn't have access to birth control. I did not become pregnant, which I am very grateful for, but my doctor and therapist both agreed that it could signal that I would face fertility issues. 3. My mum isn't around, so I can't get a medical history, which could affect me. The doctor told me that I would have to try for 12 to 18 months before getting a referral to a fertility clinic, that I should gather resources such as therapy and support, husband, friends, family if I'm comfortable with that, to help me through those potentially difficult times. 4. If I knew they were actively trying and struggling, I would have waited to tell my brother and sister-in-law until he came home, had time to reintegrate, but also checked out my sister-in-law frequently to see what I could do to help and alleviate the stress." And we'll start off with an agent who says, "So, would it have been different at 5 months? No, but your brother is an arsehole for responding the way he did. An old adage, if you have nothing to say, then don't say it. Congratulations, and not the arsehole." Someone replies to that Pompey Lulu and says, "Congratulations, and you're definitely not the arsehole, but I do wonder if he meant what he said, or if he lashed out a little because maybe they've just had another negative test or bad news. With him specifically saying, you should have waited, it seems like a timing thing or they've had some losses. You are very firmly not the arsehole, but I wonder if maybe someone could ask if he's okay." Opie says, "I suspect that as well. I wish they had shared their journey with us so we could have been supportive. His wife is very quiet, shy, and keeps to herself, so I imagine he hasn't shared out of respect for her wishes, which is very understandable. It's just not the best way for him to handle it, I think." Random says, "Not the arsehole. What did they expect? To hide it until you showed up one day with a baby?" Opie says, "That's what I thought. It would be even weirder, in some ways insulting, to not share with them. My family is very open and transparent about everything, so hiding it felt wrong." Udo says, "Yeah, not the arsehole. I understand where your brother is coming from, and it was probably just a spur-of-the-moment jealousy text powered by all the emotions of him and his wife trying for a baby as well. Even if they did not outwardly share that they too were trying to get pregnant, there's still lots of emotions and stuff on their part, especially if they aren't talking about it with people. So I understand where he's coming from, but no, I don't believe you or your husband did anything wrong." And one more comment from Historical Hat, who says, "You are not the arsehole. You shared an exciting moment in your life with your close family. Your brother's response was not kind in return. I think your brother is just hurt right now. Not only are they having fertility issues, but he is away from his wife. As someone who had fertility issues, I can vouch that it makes you think unkind thoughts at times. Inside, I was at times a person I did not like from the pain I felt. I'm not excusing his behavior, just trying to explain how it messes with your emotions. It's your decision if you want to reach out and just let your brother know that you love them and never meant to hurt anyone. After that, share your updates with those who are able to be there for you. I wish you the best in your pregnancy and also the best for your brother and sister-in-law. And yes, things did work out for us, so I'm hoping the same for your family. Opie says that's exactly what I'd do. I don't think anything productive will come from texting each other. I'd rather talk in person and give everyone time to cool down. And for myself, I was definitely feeling a couple of those comments, like if this isn't normal behavior for the brother to be lashing out like that, and you know, he's usually a completely different person, a loving person, etc., then this is weird behavior for him. Of course, lashing out, his behavior was absolutely wrong. I get it. But like I said, if this was, let's say this was my brother that did this and he lashed out, and my brothers would never ever do anything like that to hurt me or anything like that, there would certainly be alarm bells going off in my head. Well, probably I'd be initially offended by it, like I read in this post. I was offended for OP. I think sitting back and thinking about it, alarm bells would be going off in my head that something is not quite right here. Because in reality, you did absolutely nothing wrong by sharing your news with the family. You didn't know they was trying, you knew about potential issues, but I mean, you can't withhold that from family. Like you said, it'd be really weird to turn up down the line with a baby like, surprise guys, here's a little baby. But anyway, OP comes in 9 months later with an update and says definitely a bittersweet update. They have successfully conceived and are expecting a boy. They are far enough along that they felt comfortable announcing, and we are praying that this miracle can make it to term and is healthy. We are not invited to their gender reveal, but I was due that week, and they currently live 3 hours away, so we could not travel. However, the woman my brother cheated on his wife with while on deployment was invited and attended, so our relationship is still very strained. What the hell? Where did that come from? My sister-in-law posted a reel to Facebook sharing all the dirty details for friends and family to see, including screenshots from the conversation she had with a mistress. In some of those screenshots, the mistress shared that my brother insisted his wife was dying of cancer. She did receive cancer treatment while he was deployed, but wasn't in stage 3 or 4. Which is wild because our mum died of cancer a few years ago, so we are familiar with how things can progress with cancer, and he was seeking comfort. Then swore to his wife on our dead mother's grave that he didn't cheat on her. However, shortly afterwards, my sister-in-law tested positive for an STD while pregnant. Things are a mess. My heart is breaking for them because he saw how his father's infidelity destroyed our family, and I figured he would not perpetuate that generational trauma. I think perhaps all the drama about my pregnancy had less to do with me and more to do with issues they were and are trying to navigate. That's like, what the hell just happened? I had to go back and check the story, see if I missed a big piece of it there, but holy moly, Togarsuck says on that one, and quotes, how the woman my brother cheated on his wife with while on deployment was invited and attended so, and it says, record scratch. Opie says, exactly. For the record, the hierarchy is select family, friends, co-workers, mistress, then us. Someone who is clearly as what the fuck's going on like the rest of us. Able Secretary says, where is all the info about the mistress? I'm looking through your original post and your comments and can't find anything. Opie says, the mistress info is in the update. We didn't know there was a mistress until sister-in-law shared that reel. My sister-in-law vented to me about a girl she suspected my brother of cheating on her with while on deployment, but nothing was concrete. Photos posted to social media of them together, him liking her Instagram pics, they were very revealing. When she told me this, I took it upon myself to reach out to him and remind him that he's married, and if he's doing things that would make his wife suspect he's cheating, he probably shouldn't be doing them. I understand deployment is hard. I've deployed multiple times, and so has my husband, but that isn't an excuse to break your marriage vows. Of course, he denied everything until the mistress reached out to my sister-in-law. He couldn't deny the text messages and intimate info shared. Battle Mummy says, okay, but what about you? Opie says, what do you mean? Battle Mummy says, do you have the baby? Lol. Opie says, I did. A beautiful boy. It wasn't an easy birth, but we are happy to be home and making the best of late night wake-ups. Hence the update. I love that bit there where Opie was like, what about me? But Tiny Piano Fairy says, so your brother made you his personal punching bag while he was being unfaithful. Wow. I'd go low contact or no contact after that mess. Opie says, yeah, I don't believe anyone is above redemption, but I'll definitely be going low contact for a while. We'll always love them and want what's best for them, but it's not healthy to have that spilling over into our family. Cherry Phoenix says, was the mistress invited to the party after the affair was discovered? Because that's weird. Opie says invited before. I can't imagine having the audacity, the gall, the confidence to invite the mistress to the gender reveal. Holy moly, what a mess that one turned out to be. But I am super glad that OP had a healthy baby boy and, just a huge congratulations from that aspect, of course. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. And our next story does come with an update as well from Hot Wolverine 7330 and says, am I the arsehole for kicking my son and his girlfriend out? This situation has had me a bit confused, so one of my neighbors suggests I post it here. I, 55 female, have 2 children, George, 31 male, and Gabrielle, 29 female. Gabrielle recently got engaged and I'm helping her plan the wedding in my spare time, which the entire family is very excited for, except for George. George recently divorced his wife of 7 years, Susanna, 28 female, after he said the spark had gone out. They have a set of twins together, Amy and Alice, 6 female, and are trying to set up a healthy co-parenting relationship. Susanna is a great mother to my grandkids, and I was disappointed in George for giving up so fast on their relationship without even trying couples counseling, but it wasn't my business or place to say anything. The drama started when George brought his new girlfriend to dinner at my house. He met his girlfriend Bethany, 25 female, through a work colleague, and they've been dating for 4 months. At dinner, Gabrielle and I were discussing flower arrangements, and Bethany felt the need to ask George if he'd ever marry again. George coughed before replying that he'd have to think about it, which Bethany seemed to deflate at. Well, this caused Alice to cry about how she wants Mummy and Daddy to love each other again. George and Bethany just sat there while my granddaughter screamed. After I comforted Alice, I pulled George aside and asked if he was sure about Bethany, which he told me was none of my business. I told him it was my business who he invited into my home and my grandchildren's lives, since I've been caring for them in my spare time while he works. He and Susanna have 50-50 custody. George got angry and said it was Gabrielle's fault for mentioning weddings in the first place. I told him to stop acting like a child and to be happy for his sister. Then Bethany felt the need to insert herself and tell me that she and George were together no matter how much I liked his ex-wife. After that, I was done with the conversation and asked them both to leave. George and Bethany stormed off, flipped me the bird and left my grandchildren at my house at 7 p.m. I had to call Susanna to collect the children since they had school in the morning, and I was attending a cake tasting with Gabrielle the next day. I feel like I shouldn't have to tell my 31-year-old son to be happy for his sister or argue with a random woman whom I've never met before in my own home. So, am I the arsehole? And CKP says, not the arsehole, but your son sure is. I'm glad Bethany at least got to see his intentions, but sad neither of them confronted your granddaughter. Sounds really classy / sarcasm. Perhaps George needs to pay for daycare for a while. It seems he needs to learn to grow up. Perhaps if his income takes a hit, his 25-year-old girlfriend won't see him as such a catch. Be careful, or before you know it, she'll be pregnant and you'll have them moving in so she can save up, aka you take care of the baby. And So It Goes 24 says, Bethany should not have started that as a dinner guest in your home. That was tactless and impolite of her to put George on the spot in front of everyone else. George is wrong to blame his sister for Bethany's behaviors too, and more than anything, he's wrong to not be more supportive and loving towards his children, who have been through a lot. Not the arsehole, I'd have told my son to never bring that woman back to my home, never show me his ass again, and most of all, act like his children are his priority. I'm disappointed because your behavior is unmanly. Chew on that, son. Tracy Olivia says, you have a bigger issue at hand because Alice will hate every new partner because in her head, she believes they kept Mummy and Daddy from loving each other. Your main focus should be to explain to Alice that grown-ups fall out of love and that has nothing to do with the love they have for her. It won't be a healthy co-parenting when Alice already hates every woman who tries to replace her mum. She needs more attention and maybe counseling. She had a strong reaction. And one more comment from Kinzo who says, not the arsehole. Sounds like he is feeling bitter and taking it out on everyone else. His sister is getting married, so he needs to grow up and get over it. People don't need to stop all conversations about weddings just because he's there. Don't like it? Leave. Bethany needs to stay in her lane, especially when she's a guest in your own damn house. Red flags all around from that girl. Storming out and leaving his own kids with no way to get home is absolutely crazy to me. And I remember the first time reading around that and just thinking, he just left his kids at their house and just sort of walked out. I mean, what the fuck? Anyway, OP comes in with their first update and says, I didn't expect this post to gain so much attention, and I want to thank everyone who gave their honest opinions and helpful suggestions. This situation happened a few hours ago, and I thought it right to make an update. Bethany came to my house to apologize for how she acted at dinner last week. She told me that she was 2 months pregnant, and George had broken up with her after she told him, because he has too much responsibility and didn't want to be in the baby's life. I then spent the better part of 3 hours talking with Bethany about the baby and what she wants. She says she wants to keep the baby even if George refuses to be in its life, and I told her that I would help with childcare if she needs it, since she doesn't have any family that live nearby. Before I got angry with George, I thought I would call him and give him a chance to explain. George was angry that Bethany had shown up to my house and insisted that it wasn't his baby. I told him that he should get a paternity test, and he asked me for $500 to cover it since he's struggling. I told George that he needs to figure it out himself since he's about to be a father of 3, and that he better step up and do right by his kids. George then hung up. Well, 2 hours later I get a call from Susanna to say that George hadn't picked up the kids like he'd previously agreed to, and could she drop them off at my place because she had work. I agreed for her to drop Amy and Alice off and tried to call George again. I called 12 times and they all went to voice message. I don't know where George is, and I've called his place of employment to try and find out. However, they refused to tell me anything. I agreed to watch Amy and Alice until Wednesday, and Susanna has reported this incident to CPS. I assume she plans to file for full custody, and I can't blame her. Right now I'm worried that George has run off somewhere or done something irresponsible. I'm disgusted and will not be doing him any favors in the future unless he has a very good explanation and accepts some responsibility. This was hard to write but felt good to get off my chest. Thank you everyone for responding to my first post. So OP updates their post and says, okay, so I made the original post about 2 months ago, and since then things have been a bit crazy lately. So I just wanted to update as I had people asking if George was okay. In my first post, people suggested I give George some space and time to figure things out, as a recently divorced father, but after he ran off around 2 months ago, I ended up filing a missing persons report. I talked to George's workplace the day after I filed the report, and they told me he had given his 2 weeks about a month ago. I then tried calling George again and he finally picked up. He told me he was okay, but he'd moved states and no longer wanted any contact with his children because it was all too much responsibility for him. I snapped at George and told him he couldn't just decide now he didn't want to be a father. Then George told me he never wanted kids in the first place, and those kids don't look anything like me anyway. George then told me to F off and hung up the call. After that, I informed the police department what had happened and let them know George wasn't in any danger and that we knew his whereabouts. After that happened, I just cried because I couldn't believe I've raised such a selfish person. Susanna has filed for full custody, and George, as far as I know, is refusing to pay child support and will probably end up in jail at some point. Bethany is now 4 months pregnant and is having a boy, and George is the father. Somehow he managed to come up with the $500, so he will have to pay child support since he doesn't plan on being in the baby's life. Bethany moved into my home in November since she's had trouble doing things herself, and the doctor says she's at risk of preeclampsia if she becomes too stressed during the pregnancy. In that time, we've gotten closer, and despite how our first meeting went, I have actually come to like Bethany. Sorry this isn't the happy ending some of you were expecting. I've been following the advice I received from the first post and have not contacted George. He has not tried to contact me. I can hope with time he pulls himself together and manages to step up as a father. Again, thank you everyone who gave helpful advice. I'm not sure if I will be updating further, however. My word, OP, what an absolute awful time for you and your family. I can only imagine the feelings that are going through your head when you're thinking about your son and him running away from his responsibilities and the way that he's treating everyone around him. Some people were suggesting to OP about looking into therapy, and OP said that they're looking into funding some family therapy and individual therapy for the twins, but they're waiting to see if their health insurance can cover it. And I think OP is just hoping that one day that George steps up to be a father, but at the moment it doesn't even sound like he sent any Christmas gifts to his children, which is just fucking sad, isn't it? I think OP does sound like a compassionate person to be helping out when they can right now. Wow. Now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.